This podcast will hopefully contain words or statements of obscene, pornographic, or immoral character. You have been warned.
Received dozens of emails from people that'll listen to the podcast. The podcast.
Wow,
The
it
podcast.
is pretty much.
All right, well,
Oh, okay. Welcome. Which number is this? Do you remember?
I think this is episode 68.
All right, there you
I
go.
think.
68.
Yeah.
Magic.
Yeah. So I guess this will be the Christmas episode, even though I don't think it's anything about Christmas, but it
We
will
got
be
nothing
Christmas.
about Christmas. It's not gonna happen. So I did. If he doesn't listen to fucking podcasts anyway. So I found at this, our local record stores suck. I don't understand. We went to the one. I mean, it's not horrible for where we are.
Yeah.
Like, I need to go down to celebrate summer and fucking actually go buy records because I was trying to get him the new Terror record, but it was a fail. But what I did find was the X-Cops on vinyl.
Oh, I saw that they did a record store day pressing of that. I need to get that.
Dude, I was like, I picked out like a couple things that, of course, I wanted, but in our record collection is fluid, so
Yeah.
we share records. But I was like, I had shit in my hand. I'm like, it was like cool stuff, like re-releases that I know I didn't have. But like, I turned a corner and I saw this like one copy of it. And I'm like, fuck yes. I was
That's
like,
awesome.
Blythe actually sent me a text. She wants to go to the Guar X-Cop show coming up in, I guess, March or May or something like that.
I'd prefer to not talk about it because I am still fucking pissed that they're not playing out here. Like, what the fuck? I want to see X-Cops. So, like, I'm just going to give myself props because I've been on the fucking X-Cops fucking bandwagon since the fucking beginning and never got to see them back in the day.
You didn't go to Hammerjacks with us?
Nope. Did not see them back then.
That was the night that I drank that fucking fifth of Rumple Mints from
Gross.
Cockeysville to downtown Baltimore. And then for some fucking brainiac reason, I killed my bottle because it goes down a little smooth and fucking got a dip from Phil and puked all over Robbie's new car. Which is the greatest story ever, and Robbie hates me for it. Well, he still brings it up every fucking time, and I feel like a dickhole every fucking time because it was brand new. That bitch, I think he bought it the day before or the day of and brought that thing down, and I got fucking shellacked and puked all over the interior.
Damn.
Well, down
Brutal.
the side. Yeah, it was fucking horrible.
Yeah.
I think that's how he introduced me at the you're coming in and Gabe's party was to his girlfriend was this is the guy who puked all over my car.
Nice.
So
Yeah,
once
man.
again, I remember being at the show. Do I remember it? No, not really. I remember hiding underneath the plastic so I didn't get simulated cum all over me or blood, but I don't. I remember watching the people crawl in from the back of the stage into all the props and stuff, which was cool.
Yeah, that is cool. Yeah, that's awesome. Well, that's cool. You got to see them back in the day. Yeah, I missed out on that show. I don't remember what happened. I didn't go, but I've always wanted to see them, and I still have an original copy of that album on CD because it wasn't even released on vinyl.
I was going to say, I don't think it was.
No, it only came out on CD. That's when kind of CDs were the fucking shit. Like mid 90s, like everything was CDs. So it was like hard to even find records at that point. But so I want to get that. Yeah, definitely.
You saying that is like, I was thinking about that today at the record store as I'm going through, because I found like a 45 grave thing that I'm like, hey, why the fuck do you have it here? But this shit, everything's so fucking expensive. But it was like, I thought about the fact that it was like punk rock and hardcore that, to me, kept like records alive.
Probably,
Like,
yeah.
it was not because corporate fucking record labels weren't producing fucking vinyl.
Mm-mm.
You know, even back the end of in Conformist, like there were only like 2 or 3 pressing plants when we did those sevens. And that was like early 2000s. And there was only a couple plants. Like, it is so unbelievable how much of a like resurgence it's had. And it's weird, I guess, for the store that we go to, it's like 50% metal. Then they do have like older stuff. Like their punk hardcore is lackluster, but I found a couple things. Ex Cops one. I mean,
Yeah.
they like good finds are few and far between. But it's just, I just was like going through all these records of all these bands, and I was like, nobody fucking wants this. It was
Yeah.
really where it was at.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
and they were people that like they stockpile this stuff, and that. So I remember going to a record store and like looking at stuff, and it was like you have to go record per record per record per record per record. This place is like, well, there's 8 copies of that, 5 copies of that, 7 copies of that. It was like there was, it was like,
I think I remember that about that place when I was there. It's like, dude, like, you're not even going to sell 1 copy of this. Why do you have 5? It's actually a lot like that at that Hub City vinyl place too.
is it?
When I went there, it's like that place is fucking huge. And when I first went in, I was like, oh my God, like this is fucking awesome. Like, why wasn't this here when I fucking lived here? Like, this is amazing. But then once I started looking around, it's like 90% of that place is like all fucking new shit. No one wants to fucking have physical media of. And there's like 10 copies. And then like the actual used section is like 10% of the fucking store and was like not that great.
Well, their used section, it's like fucking haphazard. Like there's no alphabetical. It's like, here's 10 pounds of shit. Go find a fucking nickel. It's like,
Yeah.
there's no like rhyme or reason. And they had like an ABC like section, but then they had this like interior section with all those like 10 copies of Age of Quarrel. And I'm like, well, nobody was like, who the fuck wants Age of Quarrel here? I was like, most of us who bought the fucking record still have the record, and we don't need another remastered classic version of it.
Yeah. Which that probably sounds like garbage anyway.
We were actually talking about that, like Gavin and myself and Zach, because he had got a remastered version of, it might be a Guar record, like Scumdogs, I think is what it was. And he's like, it is dreadful.
I have it.
The vinyl version.
Yeah, it's like a double gatefold thing. And yeah, it's like definitely remastered and stuff. And honestly, the only reason I bought it, I think it's even remixed too. But I bought it because just the prices for the original are just so outlandish. And I was like, well, I'll just get this and like I'll just see what it's like. And it's not horrible. I've listened to it a couple times, but definitely doesn't sound like the original. But the thing, honestly, that sucks most about it is that they resequenced the song order so apparently before the album was actually released, they had the songs in a different order, and then when it got released, it got switched around for whatever reason. And this re-release was their way to be able to go back and like put the songs in the original order. And it just sucks because like if you're a big fan of that record, which I am, it's like the fucking back-to-back flow, and it's not
Absolutely.
like that now at all. So I actually, when I listen to that record, I've actually figured out like how to flip the record to like play it like in the right order. So I have to like, I'm like lifting the needle up and shit.
You need to get a fucking tape. You need to go super old school and get a tape deck and then fucking put it on cassette in the right order. Well, right order to us. It was bizarre. I did find a fucking Doggy Style 2 record there,
Oh, cool.
but I already have 2 copies of it, so I don't need a third. But it was funny, like seeing that. I mean, but it's so hit and miss.
And did you found it was it like a repress of that record or an original used one?
It's an original used one.
Oh, I was like, there's no way that record got repressed. I don't believe that.
Well, I'm having a hard time that the fucking 45 Grave got repressed because it is demos and live recordings. And there's nothing more exciting to listen to a fucking live recording from fucking 83. No, it's horrible.
No.
And I think I already fucking have it on the basement tapes. I think they just rebranded it and sent it back out under a new name. I didn't even know it came out. So the fact that I didn't know it came out kind of surprised me. But on top of that, it was like, it was just, I've already had this on CD and I know it sounds like shit already.
Did they do any type of remix or remaster on that X Cops? Do you know?
I didn't read the outside enough. I will go look at it and send you pictures when I
because
go downstairs.
I will say I'm typically not the biggest fan of these remastered deals, but as much as I do love that X Cops record, that original recording was like a little rough. It definitely could have been, and I mean, whatever. There's elements of the way it sounds that I think gives it its character. So I'm definitely not shitting on the recording. It like made sense for what it was at the time, but that is a record that if they did do some type of a little bit of a cleanup, it maybe could advance it a little bit.
Right. So I guess driving in the car now and realizing like from the late 80s, early 90s being into like when big heavy thud bass and everything needed to be heavy, like all the low end in the fucking music versus like now it's I don't think there's as much. I think it's a lot more flatter across the board. I think it's fuller, but it doesn't have the thud. But like No Redeeming came on today, Clueless, and in my car I was like, I'm like, fucking amazing is that?
Yeah.
Like I would hate if you would go back and like remix stuff like that. Like, do you need it? Because I think like that mixing for even that time period is so important to that music. Any music.
Yeah,
like,
definitely.
Go back and remaster stuff. To me, it takes away from it. Like, why a remix, not remaster? I mean, you can still do a lot of tweaking and mastering, yes, but it's like to remix and remaster.
You lose the character of what made it special in the first place most of the time. Like, not all the time. I do have some remasters that I do like the newer version a little bit better because it was actually done really well. It was like done tastefully and it's subtle, but it did like improve it a bit. But generally speaking, I don't typically like when that happens. Yeah, honestly, that Scumdogs that I bought, I won't say that I don't regret buying it because it does have like a lot of really cool artwork and like photos and stuff in it. So just to have like a cool gatefold of that is pretty cool. And it does sound okay, but it doesn't sound like what Scumdogs is in my ears. So it's like like I bought that record and I realized how different it sounds and I fuck with it from time to time. But if I want to listen to that, I always get my CD out.
And that like those first 3 fucking songs, it set such a tone.
Yeah.
Like I couldn't imagine going through in that sequence not being there.
I know. Yeah, it's different. Well, so we've already said a couple of the records that I would put in the category of your topic for today. So why don't you explain it? Okay,
so Elgath and I were talking about records that are perfect, or at least, are solid listens the whole way through. And I kind of brought it up to him that I thought, and I'd said it to you earlier, was I think in the early days of punk hardcore, in any any of that genre, like records had to be so much better than they are now. Well, not saying everybody doesn't put 110% effort in. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is I think that there was such a drive to make a full, complete album because the single wasn't going to go, that you needed to have, 12 songs, 10 songs that are fucking magic. Because without that, like, even my example, and Phil kill me, is fucking Peg Boy. Like, Phil had that one Peg Boy CD, and I could never get past the first song. I was like, fucking falls off the rail, and I was never a Peg Boy fan. Somebody actually brought it up on a forum on Facebook, or I don't think it's called a forum anymore, but yeah, I'm old. Fuck off. But but somebody brought up Peg Boy, and it was like, holy shit. Like, I was thinking about them that morning because they were banned, because it was rolling in the back of my head from Gavin and I talking of like to me, that record wasn't solid. And we'll use some of the standards just to get them. Like, I'll use, this is a weird one. I'll use, fuck. I got like three in my head, and I'm trying to pick which one. I'm gonna pick Sex Pistols album. Like, that thing is still solid now from front to back. I don't have to skip a fucking. I have to skip Anarchy in the UK because of fucking
Motley Crue.
Like, I have to skip that because it just became such a thing, and it's like, why are you fucking ruining this for me? But like, that record is fucking solid the whole way through. Scumdogs is fucking magical.
Well, I was going to ask, is this just based on like the songs and like how good the songs are? Or are you talking about the overall package as far as like if it's perfect to you, like recording and like artwork, or are you just talking about the music?
Just the music, I guess. I think just the music, because even better is because the way that music was shared between people, you didn't have a chance to fucking go and skip a song. Because
that's true.
90% of us didn't get the fucking original record till we were older. So we were doing dubs of a dub of a dub. And if that fucking record wasn't good, I'm not going to waste my time. If song 5 and 6 blew nuts, I mean, you could cut them out of the recording, and I have done that. But it's one of those things where I think, you had a half an hour to 45 minutes to fill in that tape, and this shit's got to be solid. It can't be like, I got to stop. We're skating. I've got to stop and fast forward this fucking song because it is so fucking horrendous.
Well, it's funny because when you first kind of told me that you had this idea to talk about today off air, I've been kind of thinking about picks. So I know we kind of had a similar discussion to this like many, many, many episodes ago, but I think we could take this to a different level of like perfecting the choices, because as soon as you said this, I had like 5 records pop in my head. But as I've been thinking about it, I'm like, I don't know. Like, if we're really going to make this like really strategically be about a perfect record, I think like 3 of those 5 I picked out like don't make the cut, because I'm thinking of like maybe 1 or 2 songs that I still listen to, but I don't love as much as other songs. So for me, I've created the criteria that for something to be perfect, the mood that I have when the first song plays, that enthusiasm has to pretty much stay the same till the end for me to consider it like a perfect record. Like, maybe the ebb and flow of the way it makes you feel as it goes might change, but like there can't be a song that ever comes on that makes you like drop out of the meditation, basically.
So with that being said, I mean, with my example, does I guess the age of the record get discounted because you get people that only play, my sister who only played like fucking 2 songs off of an album and would wear the shit out of them, and is like, I couldn't listen to the record anymore because I was so sick of those fucking songs showing up.
Right.
You know, I mean, so there's a like at what perspective are you looking at it from? Is it from, well, I was like, I don't even know what fucking year we're in. 2023? Are we talking like 89 before like certain songs got blown out?
Yeah, I would probably say that I would maybe say for all time, like
Okay.
how it made me feel when I first heard it, and that it still holds up now, and like might even be better to me now, or at least still holds up. So I would say, like, you've already named one of mine. Like, I can confidently say that Scumdogs of the Universe is definitely an album that I can put on any fucking time and can listen to that. I mean, there may be times I listen to it where I would possibly skip around, where I'm like, okay, I'm trying to hear these 3 songs today, but I don't necessarily need to hear everything else. But if I do decide to listen to the whole record, that's a record that, to me, there's not a skipper on that whole thing. Like, I can listen to that front to back, never need to skip. Like, there's not a song on there that takes me out of like the process of listening to that. The Sex Pistols is another one. Like, I know we talked about that back in the day with the Ramones Sex Pistols camp scenario.
Well, you know what I think brought this up was, I keep bitching that nobody makes a good album anymore. But we also talked about, and now I fucking sidetracked myself, was oh fuck. While you were talking about Scumdog, it was like there was like a caveat, like why our prior conversation was close to this, but it wasn't the same. And I like remember the episode, but now I've totally blanked on what triggered this conversation. But I think we could go complete package if you want to, because like dealing with it, I saw it today and almost bought the motherfucker. That fucking record still, when it kicks in for me, I'm hooked. Oh, I know what it was. Is because I play with when I drive it and listen to music, I have a huge playlist. There's like 2,400 songs. Even though the same shit gets repeated over and over, that's just fuck you, Apple, for that. But there are certain albums that if I hear, I'll go back and listen to the whole fucking album.
Yeah, like if you get that sample song, you're like, oh fuck, I need to, like, hearing that one song out of context, like, doesn't hit the same as if it pops up after where like the song before it or whatever.
Yeah, and it's like, well, fuck, I need to go listen to the whole album. Because I said that, like the Ghoul album, anytime that motherfucker shows up on my playlist, I have to go back and listen to the whole fucking album. Because
that's actually a really good criteria for this, I think, because that's an angle I hadn't considered. And I can tell you right now, for me, the very first album that pops in my head with that mentality is Age of Quarrel. So if I hear like some song later in the album, I'll be like, oh, like I know that tomorrow is going to be a day where I listen to the whole thing.
The whole fucking record. Absolutely. Like there's a Dillinger album that I fucking, once again, that bitch, I know I missed out. I fucking made a mistake. But like the Killer's Me or something. I don't remember what the fucking album title is, but when that song one of those songs pop up from that album, the rest of the day is a Dillinger day.
Yeah.
Like it is fucking over for anything else. If I'm at the office and Dillinger comes on, and like in my playlist, like I have like Calculating Infinity and stuff like that. But when it kicks and when that shit plays, it's an all day win. And if the one off the Killers is whatever, like that album's listened to right away. Like it is, there's no doubt in my mind it's going to get stopped. Just like the Ghoul one. And I did the same just the other day with fucking DRI. Fucking dealing with it, came on like one song. I was like, stopped everything. It's like, we got to listen to the whole album.
Yeah. It's funny you mentioned dealing with it too, because that was one of my initial thoughts of that's probably a perfect record to me. But That one, I have to say, upon more reflection, I love that record. Don't get me wrong, and it is definitely one of my favorite all-time records. But as far as it
It's
being
fine.
perfect for me, I would say that for me to get through that record nowadays, it's still awesome. But I feel like there's a little bit more of I have to pull in some nostalgia thought processes to listen to the whole thing, to get through it. And not that there's a bad song on it, but it's not as exciting and doesn't flow to me like it did back in the day. So I feel like I'd have to kind of maybe exclude that from my perfection list, as much as that actually pains me to even say that out loud.
Yeah, we might have to stop now.
But that's one that I still give like a 9.9 out of 10. But
Right.
there is that element for that record for me where I feel like maybe I can listen to like 3/4 of it, like from start to, but I can't maybe get to the end all the time, kind of a thing. And maybe
So-
I haven't listened to the whole thing in a while though, so maybe I'm completely wrong and I need to revisit it. But
No, I mean,
That's
I
my
think you
initial
age.
thought.
It's just like Agent Orange's first album, Living in Darkness. Like, I have to skip songs in it now. Like, and what's sad is I have songs that I skip now, like in my playlist. And that kind of falls back into that whole thought process of building this complete record that you have to sell versus singles. Because, like, they filled it out with two, wasn't it? Aren't they both Venture songs? The instrumentals, it was like they had to fill it out. Like, it wasn't like a full, like, they needed a little help to get that done.
Yeah.
And plus, the fucking remix is back from when they decided every CD needs to be fucking blasted out and maxed out.
I
So when
remember
it
you
comes
talking
in,
about that, yeah.
it's about 20 decibels fucking louder than everything else. But what's next on your list? Because I have a weird one that I don't know how to approach.
Well, see, it's funny because like sticking with the Guar theme a little bit, I was even like one of my very first thoughts that popped in my head of like perfect records are the two Dave Brocky Experience records. But then I was like,
No,
there's like one or two songs on each of those records where I still like those songs, but they break me out of like what I said earlier. They break me out of the meditation of the full listen.
Wait, like Dr. Fong?
Like Dr. Fong, yeah. Like that song, like that song's hilarious, but that to me, that just it doesn't kill it, but it takes it off the list of being a perfect record for me.
I agree, because that is a fucking speed bump in that record.
Yeah.
That is like
Yeah, and I get it, like, but it's like it's a speed bump. I will say that probably my next, and again, this is a record we've talked about before, but I think for me, as far as energy, and still holds up for me as much today as it did back in the day, and to me, it's the perfect hardcore record in my opinion. Is Uniform Choice, Screaming for Change. There's no speed bumps in that at all.
no, it just ends on a nice little curve down.
And even the spoken word thing, like it's just high. Like the first song, you're just like up the hill, up the hill, up the hill, and then you're like down the fucking hill, and then it's
spoken
perfect.
word is not as good as the fucking Crucial Youth making fun of them.
Well, that's true.
Like Jedi Knights of Future Days.
I haven't heard that version in a long time, but I definitely remember that.
Oh no! Well, see, so the curveball for me is they've packaged the Chain of Strength stuff together, like on iTunes.
Okay.
And that is one, if it comes in the playlist now, I go back and listen, and it's only like 20 minutes, like 8 songs, 20 minutes or something. It's ridiculous,
right?
But it is like the energy. Well, because the fucking recording was so bad on the 45. The first 45, it was horrendous. Not as bad as that one that Dave Brown did. Didn't mean to call you out, but they fucked up the Gut Instinct track on the one record, so it was only left.
Oh shit.
Like, so it's not like that, but it's fucking, it is so strong. And I guess like that's like my style of hardcore is like I don't need to beat down all the time. Like I'd much rather do like the old school Youth of Today and shit like that, where it's just like flying down the road and there's a little bit of stompy, but it's more just like I'm gonna hit you down.
Yeah, but Ken,
And, like,
so I was thinking this was more full lengths.
So that's what I said made it a little iffy, because they put both 7 inches together.
Yeah, I would say that doesn't count.
Okay, so scratch that, fucker. No.
Good choice though. But
oh shit.
I would say one other choice I have that pops in my head as a perfect record to me, as far as just banger after banger after banger, and you never get out of the trance, is the first Dead Kennedys record.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, that's got to be on there.
Yeah, that was one of the 3 I was thinking of. Like that, you know, I think Fear the Record's that way. I don't think there's a fucking bad song on it.
I disagree with that, but not
okay, that's fine.
I think that record as a whole is fucking awesome, but it's not perfect for me because I can't even think what song it is, but there's definitely like a song or two on there that
there is. You're right, and I forgot about it. It's like something to brush.
You forgot about it because it's not good.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. That's funny.
All right, so what was your other choice then? You said you had a weird
3. Well, the weird one was my Chain of Strength.
Oh, gotcha.
But so Rock for Light would be my other a perfect record.
Okay.
And this falls into another conversation I want to have later, just because of the time when it came out and just how those things happen. But that record is fucking magic on a stick, and I don't like the fucking Roar tape. Once again, those sessions are horrible. And Gavin likes raw stuff. Gabe always liked the raw stuff. I like a little bit of crispiness in my jams. But like, I think Rock for Light is fucking phenomenal. I think the reggae songs are like a good breath in it, like because they're going so fucking hard the whole time. To have those random 2 reggae songs in it's fucking fine by me.
I haven't listened to that album in a really long time. I'm trying to even think what all's on there.
That's another one though that they fucked the order up on. Like the re-release isn't the same order that was the original on PVC or who else put it out. Like the newer version, like the songs are in a different order, and it's fucking painful to listen to because I'm like, why do we do this? Who are we helping with this? Not me. You are not helping me. I mean, Rain and Blood is a perfect record.
Oh, that's a real good one. Yeah, absolutely. That's definitely on the list.
I mean, a total like
that may be. You really hit on that one. That may be the most perfect of all perfect records, really.
I'm not going to argue with you. Not because I can't think of one that outshines it. Like,
wow, that's a really good call.
Like from fucking go, it is like, and that's another one when fucking Rain and Blood comes on in the fucking list, we go back and listen to the whole fucking album. Yeah, yes, like, Angel of Death is not in the playlist. Rain and Blood is. But then it just kicks me off to go listen to the whole fucking album.
No, anyway. Exactly. And I think that record in particular, compared to like lots of records, there is not a better sequenced record in existence as Rain and Blood. Because if you fucking move any of those songs around, it's not the same record. And it's like, go listen to the song Piece by Piece by itself and tell me you're not fucking pissed that you aren't listening to the whole record.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Like put Piece by Piece on and you're like, yep, I'm listening to Rain and Blood now, because like
Yep.
I can't just listen to Piece by Piece. I feel that anger, like that rage and anger of like how awesome it is. And it's like, now I have to hear everything.
Fucking song. Yes, absolutely. I think they're driving Santa Claus through town. So if you hear
Really?
fucking sirens, I think that's what it is.
Nice. Guys have
We
a
live
little
in a small
parade
little
going on.
town. Yeah. Actually, I think he's on the fire truck and he drives around and waves at kids. Yeah, we don't have a very big town, so it takes about 20 minutes and it's over.
Well, I
But-
say that let's ruminate on this topic, because
Stop, ruminate, and listen.
yeah, because I
Okay.
honestly I'm thinking that you just ended the conversation, because I'm really hard pressed to think of a better choice than Rain and Blood as the most perfect album of all time. Production,
Yes.
songs, originators of a genre,
So
like
look, I'm pointing at you.
sequencing
you
of
just-
songs.
I think super important is the fucking like the genre part where all of a sudden it is established the guidelines. Like all of a sudden,
That's the
everybody
book.
else you need to,
That is the guidelines of like, okay, there's this whole new thing that we just fucking invented, and this is the fucking Bible for everyone else who's going to copy this shit.
yeah. I think you are right, and we can. I'm more than happy to stop here so I can keep thinking about them and see if I can come up with a better one.
I mean, at least as far as, let's say, thrash metal and heavy metal go, the more extreme side of that genre of music, I would say this is totally different, and not even in the same like realm necessarily, but, and I'm not saying it's anything even close to the perfection of Rain and Blood, but another record that immediately kind of pops in my head as being as heavy and in a similar genre, and I find this record to be a perfect record that I can listen to the whole thing always, is Judas Priest Painkiller.
I'm not going to argue with you because I don't listen to Judas Priest, but I believe you.
Yeah, that record is, that is, to me, it's almost like Painkiller is the more like standard heavy metal version of Rain and Blood.
So I think this conversation should stop now. And you guys out there, I know we have people that fucking listen. So you can either email us or fucking hit us up on Instagram and shoot back other ideas. But what of other perfect records? But while we're doing this, or while we're waiting for other input, besides the topic I talked to you about earlier, which we're not going to bring up.
Yep.
The next one, I think, which is a really fucking good one we just touched on, and you guys can send in for this shit too, is guideline, or what records set the standard for what genres.
We already talked about one of them earlier, is the first Dead Kennedys.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. But there are other ones that kind of set standards for different styles, like hardcore, like when was, or I mean, once again, I don't want to get into it because we already started. We kind of discussed not talking about certain things.
Yeah.
So I don't want to dive any deeper into it. But we'll stop here. You guys send us perfect albums, and we can think about like certain records that set. It could be even in this, when you set the guidelines, it could be a 45, I think, at this point. Like,
yeah, I think for that particular angle, I think anything's open game, really.
Yeah. So with that being said, Happy New Year. Well, we'll probably be back for New Year, maybe.
Yeah. Merry Christmas. Happy holidays,
Happy Hanukkah.
or whatever you do.
I don't do anything. I guess we just Christmas.
But yeah, I think we have established today, though, that I'm going to go ahead and go on record and say that Rain and Blood is one of the most perfect records ever created.
Top that bitch.
Yeah.
I need to insert your little thing there.
I'm gonna be thinking about this over the next week or so. I'm gonna flip through some records and flip through some CDs and see if I can find something that rivals Rain and Blood. Honestly, I think it's going to be tough. I would say that Age of Quarrel doesn't rival it, but I think it's in the same ballpark, at least as far as.
And I think it's once
groundbreaking.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. Dude, when that record broke, fuck yes.
Yeah, dude.
That was like
what Rain
chaos.
and Blood did for like speed and thrash metal, like Age of Quarrel did for hardcore. Definitely like opened the gates to the more metallic side of hardcore.
Yes.
Because if you don't have Age of Quarrel, there's like literally thousands of bands you don't have.
Yeah, true. It's funny that Gavin and I argue over Age of Quarrel versus Before the Quarrel, which is so
you
fucking
talked about
stupid.
that before. Yeah, I'm not even gonna acknowledge that discussion because it's fucking foolish.
I think that discussion falls into another topic. So with that, close it out, bitch.
Yeah. Thanks for listening, and be safe out there. Enjoy your holidays, and we'll see you soon, and probably before the new year. But if not, have a good new year too.
Absolutely. Adios.
Later.
This podcast was brought to you by Potty Mouth Records. Contact us at pottymouthrecords@gmail.com and find us on the web at pottymouthrecords.rocks. That's .rocks.
That was way better than I
POTTYCAST podcast.